Hi everyone. So today's agenda is that I want to fetch some values from my LWC component and I want to render that in a VF page which is rendered as a PDF. So let's quickly begin and I'll give you an intro or a gist of what I'm trying to achieve. So now I'm giving you a simple example and trying to explain this scenario here that we are trying to achieve. So let's suppose that what we are trying to do here is we are trying to render a table in our LWC component. And please note that this is just an example. I cannot tell you the exact scenario that I have faced in my project, but I can give you an example on what was I facing and how did I solve this. So let's suppose on coming to this LWC component, I want to render a table which would show me the current user's name, email, city, age, and according to these parameters like city and age, it should calculate the discount and show me over here. Okay, this is a very simple example. Now, so for achieving this, what we are doing is the moment we are loading this LWC component, in the JavaScript of this LWC component, I'm calling a Apex method in the connected callback. And that Apex method is getting the current user's ID. And on the basis of current user's ID, we are getting his or her email address, name, city, and age. And all these things we are returning to the JavaScript of LWC. Now in JavaScript of the LWC, we do the calculations to get the discount. So a simple calculation would be that if the city is Mumbai and if the age is between 20 to 40, then you get a 10% discount, else you get a 20% discount. Mind it, it's a very, very simple example, but the scenario that I'm facing right now, it's extremely complex. So let's suppose that there was a even more complex calculation that we were doing in the, JavaScript. We have already done in Lightning Web Component. Now here the discount would render as, let's say, if I am the current user for this record, it would render as 10%. If it was another user called Smita, then it would be 20%. So it would show the row accordingly. So here the calculation is very, very simple. So moving it to Apex and then loading it in Visual Force page, which is rendered as PDF, is not a problem. But let's say if you have done very complex calculations in your LWC component, and now someone tells you that this table with a complex calculation needs to be now rendered in a PDF. Imagine you have done all the calculations in your JS, now moving it to Apex and then loading it in a, you know, uh, Visual Force page, which is rendered as PDF, would be like a nightmare. And why I'm saying that is because if you use the normal way, you could render a PDF component in a Visual Force page, okay? But when you would use render as PDF in the Visual Force page, your Lightning component would no more be visible. It would come as blank. So, using the Lightning Web Component exactly in the Visual Force page, which is rendered as a PDF, is not supported. But what you could do is, like here, I'm showing you the city, the age, the name, the discount, everything is present in your JavaScript. So the better and easier way would be just calling these values and sending these values from your LWC component into the Visual Force page, which is rendered as a PDF. So this is what exactly I'm trying to achieve over here. So what I'll be starting with is I am going to make a Visual Force page. So I have made the Visual Force page. Now inside that, I'm going to call a controller. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, even before adding a controller, what I'm going to do is I am going to write a script. So first I'm going to include Lightning over here in the Apex page. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to add a script into it in the VF page. And inside this script, I am going to write a function called load components. Now, because I'm writing this function, I obviously have to make it somewhere, right? So let me create a function called load components. Okay. So all I'm going to do is put a console.log. Okay. And now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to call the lightning component. Okay. So I'm going to say dollar actually dollar lightning use, and I am going to create a light or a app first. So let me go here and first let's create a, or first let's do one thing. Let's create a lightning web component first. Okay, so I am creating a new lightning web component. LWC for PDF, I'm going to name it as. And I'll just deploy this. Now, what we are going to do is in the meta of this, I'll simply declare everything so that I don't face any challenge. Okay. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is to identify that it came actually in my LWC component. I am going to say this is LWC component. Okay. And the next thing that I'm going to do is the example that I gave you guys was name, city, discount calculation and all that. But I don't think I would be able to show that exact example, but I would show you how to perform this. Okay, calculations you can do on your own and all that. But right now, the thing is, how can you render the elements from your lighting web component into a Visual Force page, which is rendered as a PDF? So I'm not going into that much detail, but I'll just show you the process or method, because if I do that, this video would be too long, which I don't want. So all I'm going to do here is add a connected callback. So I'm doing that. I'm adding a connected callback. Okay. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I've just written a log so that when it comes here, I would understand that, okay, this component has got called. Okay. The next thing is I am creating a param data. Okay. In that I have two uh, attributes or properties. One is name, the other is city. In name, I've written my name. In city, I've written Mumbai. Okay. And then what I'm doing is I'm dispatching an event. New custom event. The name of that event is call VF. And in that, I'm passing a detail in which I'll be passing this entire param data that I made. And I read it in a blog that you need to put bubbles and compost as true. So I'm doing that. I do not actually know the exact reason, but because I read it, I am doing it. Now, we have our connected callback prepared, we have our meta prepared, and we have our HTML prepared. Okay. Now, the next thing is, because I want to use it in a, Visual Force page, this event that I've made over here called VF, this event would be calling a method that I'll be making in my Visual Force page. So in order to be able to do that, I need to create a Lightning app or a Lightning app. So I'll be creating a new Lightning application, and I'd be naming it as middleware app. Okay. And I'm going to set Lightning out dependency app. And I'm going to submit. Okay. So here we have it. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we need to say that we are going to call a resource over here, and its name would be the Lightning Web Component that we just now made, LWC for PDF. So I'm going to say LWC for PDF. Okay. And mind it, you should have this extends Lightning out app. Okay. So I have this, I've made this. Now I'll go back to my Visual Force page. Now what I'm doing here is, first I'm calling the app that I've made. So what's the name of this app is middleware app. So I would say middleware app. Then what I am saying is function. And then inside the function, I am using yeah. So here we go. We are saying lightning.createComponent. And then over here, I'll be writing the same component that I've made inside the middleware app, which is LWC for PDF, right? So I'll be saying LWC for PDF. And if I want, I can pass some parameter from here. Okay. But right now I'm not passing anything. So just leave it blank. Or, let's say you want to pass some parameter, we could even do that. So let me remove this and put some account ID maybe. Uh, okay, and let's say I've added the record ID over here. And so yeah, this is the app name. This is Lightning. The app name has to be used inside lightning.use, comma, function. And inside the function, I'm going to say lightning.createComponent and the name of the component, LWC component that I wish to call. And over here, I've put record ID and I'm passing the record ID over here. And lightning. And here I'm calling, closing the, this bracket is closed over here. And this bracket gets closed over here. Okay. The one for the Lightning use. Okay, so we have this ready, right? So the first thing that would happen is this page would get loaded because we are calling load component. So the first thing that would happen is it would come here and it will go in this Lightning app, inside which it will find the Lightning component. So it will load that component. So in our component, what we have done next is we have called a connected callback in which we are dispatching this, and you know what, you can even write. Okay. So okay. So now what I've done is I have created a record ID over here. So when we, 1 minute. Yeah. So when we will call this Lightning component, we are passing some hard-coded record ID over here and we are passing it to the component. Okay. And yeah. So when we come to the component, what we'll be able to see is, first of all, the connected callback will get called. And in the connected callback, we'll show the record ID. And then we are putting some data over here, although this is hard-coded data, but you could do some calculations and accordingly you would have those values in your JS of the Lightning Web Component. So those values you could then pass into a param data or some other variable. And that variable you can pass inside the detail. Okay. So this is done. But now this call VF. So I need to make that call VF in the Visual Force page actually. So how are we going to do that is we are going to add a document.add event listener. So here I go, and inside the script itself, I'll be writing a document.add event listener. Okay. Now, the next thing is I'll just display a console so that we find out that, okay, we have landed inside this. And by the way, document.add event listener, and it is the same name that we gave in our Lightning Web Component. So this is the name of the method that we are calling call VF. And this is the same method, the name that event name that I've put over here. And when this event is fired, I'm calling this function. And inside this function, what I'm doing is I am taking these values inside the name and city variables. Now, the next thing that I'm doing is I'm creating a Apex form. Okay. Why I'm creating a Apex form is because I want to add Apex action function in it. And for adding Apex action function, I need a form. Now, what's the mistake that we are making? Let's see. PDF data, right? Okay. Okay. So now what I've done is I've added a Apex form, and inside that Apex, why I've added the Apex form is because I want to use Apex action function. Okay. So that's why I have to use the form. Now inside form, if I make any fields, right, they would be visible in my component, which I don't want to show. So what I've done is I have used input hidden field over here, given IDs to each one of them and given values. Now these values that I have, I need to make it inside a controller. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to create a not lightning, a Apex method, which I'd be using as a controller over here. So I would say VF page controller, and I would just, okay, I think there's a method already class. Okay, so here we have it. We have our class, which we are going to use as a controller in the Visual Force page. Okay. So what we are going to do is, first of all, we create the attributes that we have used in our Visual Force page. So here I've made three attributes, right? Or three input hidden fields in which I'm using PDF data as the value, name as the value, and city. So I'm going to declare these three things over here: PDF data, name, and city. Okay. The next thing is I'm going to make a constructor. So let me make a constructor. Okay. Now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to create a method. Okay. And return the page reference in that. Okay. So what I've done here is I've created a method called download PDF, and I've used page reference in that system.debug to just identify that I've landed in this method. Here I'm saying system.page reference equals to news. Now this is a one more PDF VF page that I'm calling. The main entry VF page that we had, right, in which we are calling the component, in that I had not used render as PDF. Okay. I'm indirectly doing it first. Okay, let me not go there. I'll explain the entire thing at the end. But yeah, here what I'm doing is the moment I come here, I'm calling this another VF page. That's it that I'm doing right now. And I'm just returning the page ref. Now, because I've made this, the controller, and this, I'm calling this VF page, I need to actually make that VF page somewhere, right? So let's suppose I've already made this PDF generator. Okay. And I'll just show you. I've not done much in it. All I've done is in that PDF, I'm displaying these three attributes. Which three attributes? The ones that I've created in this controller. So PDF data, name, and city. Okay. So those three attributes I'm displaying over here. And where I'm getting these values from? I'm getting it from the entry VF page that we had made. So now when the PDF will get downloaded, I'll have all these three values with me. And then I am saving this method. So now we have our controller method ready. So next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to say controller equals this method name. Okay. And show header, I would say false. So now what happened is we have called this controller over here. Okay. So now the next thing that would happen is the moment we land on this VF page, load components gets called. Load component loads this Lightning web component. From that Lightning web component, what we are doing is we are calling this method called call VF. It comes here, it loads the city and everything. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do over here in the add event listener is okay. So what have I done here is I am saying hit data. First of all, what is that? So here you will see that in each of the input hidden field, I have given some ID for each one of them. So the first one is hit data. So I've said hit data equals to document.get element by ID, and I am getting whatever is there in this component called hit data. So it would pick this component, and then inside its value, which is this PDF data, I'm putting it's a PDF, like I'm hard coding some value. Okay. The next thing is name data. Again, I've created one more input hidden field called ID is name data and value is name. Okay. So coming here, I'm making a variable. I'm getting the document.get element by ID by the name data. And inside that name data's value, I'm putting the name that I got from my LWC component. And I'm just displaying it. Same way, I put the city data. So here you would see the ID was city data for the third one. So what I'm doing is again getting this field by document.get element by ID, putting it in a variable, and inside its value, which is this one, I am putting the value of city that I got from my Lightning component. Okay. So now we are sorted and we have all these values. Now the next thing that we want to do is how am I actually going to call this method, right? Download PDF. Because when download PDF will get called, that's when this VF page, the other VF page, which is actually going to be rendered as a PDF is going to call, right? So now the next thing that we are going to do is we are going to call this method and callback. So I'm just going to add few lines here. Okay. So here we have generate JS generate PDF. What will happen now? Because we have this JS generate PDF, right? You will see that we had used this Apex action function. So when this is called, this action function, the action which is mentioned inside will get called. Now this action that we have download PDF is present inside my controller that I had used in my VF page, which is PDF VF page controller. Coming here and it will come here download PDF. So because it will go to download PDF, now what will happen is we are calling this particular VF page, which is this. And this page is rendered as a PDF. Okay. So that's it, I guess. Yep. I think that is it. Okay. So now, yeah. So now what we are going to do is, this is the entry page VF. So I'm going to preview it. So you see, this is LWC was displayed first. And let me also show you the console.log so that you understand the sequence in which this is performed. Um, I don't know why is it not showing up this time. Okay, no worries. I'll explain you the entire sequence again so that you won't get confused. Okay, so the other thing is right now we saw that the generate PDF generator, this one is rendered as a PDF which you could download. But let's suppose I want to auto download it, then what am I supposed to do, right? So in that case, then what you could do is the page ref that you have made in your PDF VF page, right? In the, I mean, controller of that PDF page, you are supposed to add one extra line, which is this. You are saying page ref dot get headers dot put content disposition, save as the attachment and the file name that you want to give it. So I'll just save, and here it got refreshed and it got downloaded. And the name also that you see over here is test PDF, right? So test PDF I'll open. Oh, some issue it seems. Let me check.